We're live. It is the weekly Website One kickoff retrospective meeting. Raul and Armando and Michael in the house. Raul, did you have any interest in running the meeting? Because you do it much better than me. No,
Not today. I had a very stressful day. So
I can imagine. With these boot camps, they corrode the one's nerve endings. It's there's only so much everyone can take. Right. Well, I'll do
yeah,
my
so yeah, just
no.
just run it.
No worries. Yeah, I will do my best to. In previous weeks, Raul and Michael have run it far more efficiently than me, so I will attempt to learn from their example and get down to it. So let's go on the screen share there. And what we should get quickly, if I can just go and find it, is the kickoff document that we use for coordinators. Let's click through to that. Here it comes. There it is. Okay. So. And I'll just pop that in the. If Michael or Raul, if you want to add anything to that as we go through it, do indeed be my guest. Just working through the previous action items we had. Yes, so I did actually consolidate the documentation tickets somewhat. We've got, I think, outstanding pull requests on those for Website One, so that's I'm quite pleased to have made some progress on that after so long. Yeah, that's there. Yeah, I've started closing the event epics and opening new ones with the newer items in it. We haven't got any further on thinking about removing the email requirement for GitHub. I am always trying to avoid getting off track and avoiding long back and forth conversations. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. That one's done from previous week. Remove that. I am clearly blogging every morning for my sins. That's basically the main action item was basically to sort of not worry about the static website. That's website 2 for the time being, and throwing everything into supporting pairing in the MOOC, which is what we are doing. So yeah, let's move on to struggles we had this week. Michael, we've already mentioned, yeah, basically there's the async testing for the Agile bot was the main problem. Any other struggles that anyone can remember from the week, Raul?
Just finding time to work on the AV stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the key ones that you mentioned was the Phantom.js library installation.
hmm
And
To be honest, I don't have time to look at it, but I
sure.
would like to get that out of the way as
Yeah,
soon as possible.
I guess we can we can turn that into an action item. I think basically it's to remove that gem, isn't it? We just need to remove
Yeah.
the Phantom.js gem and see how CI interacts with that.
Need to provide instructions on how to install.
Right, and then
When
associated.
you say is this a bug having to do just with your development environment for Website One, or
This is a problem that, so in order to consistently use a particular version of Phantom.js, we have, in the AgileVentures code base, we now, sorry, Phantom, we use a Phantom.js gem, which then specifies Phantom.js and so on. And that all works fine on our developer machines, but then in the CI environment, we find that it's like one time, it's even 2 times out of 3 recently, isn't it, Raul? Basically, when the CI kicks
Yeah.
off, it can't download, like the process of it downloading the Phantom.js code just fails, and we have to restart the build. And after 2 or 3 restarts, it works, but it just means that the process of merging pull requests and then moving them along the deployment pipeline is much slower than it should be.
stupid question because I haven't looked at your CI, but would it be helpful? I think when you install the Phantom.js gem, one of the things that it does is it looks for the actual Phantom.js node package as part of the installation, and if it's not there, it tries to download and build it. So there's
Right.
the Phantom.js gem, which is the wrapper,
Right.
and there's the JS engine itself.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried putting into the prep steps for your CI a separate, like an apt-get install command or something, just to install the engine portion? Because I know we periodically have CI issues where if the CI step sort of hangs up for a long time, the CI assumes that it's broken, which means that any long-running pre-install steps might have to be moved into the before file.
Okay.
I can't remember how you do it on Semaphore. We use Semaphore at Mentiv, as it turns out, and then I use Travis for my own stuff.
Okay.
But I wonder whether pre-installing sorry.
Go on, Raul.
What I noticed with Semaphore is that they actually have support for Phantom.js out of the box. So it's just a matter of telling it which version we want to use with our build, I think.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Interesting.
And I think I had a link on that on the issue I created.
Okay. So let's have a. I mean, that's a very interesting suggestion from you, Amanda, about the approach. Now, if we find this was if I do this. Annoying that the search for it. Can I find it by Phantom.js? No. This is annoying that the. There we go. Install of it there. That's your issue. Okay. Bye, Amanda. Yeah. So you were saying you had a link there to. Right.
Yeah.
Specify which version to use. Okay. And so we would just add that and lock that in.
I assume into the build setup. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that seems like yeah. Okay. So instructions. So it seems like the thing is there is like tell Semaphore which one to use.
Yeah, and then we get rid of it in the gem file maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Indeed. So I mean that's a fairly straightforward pull request. We can just pull off next week maybe. Okay. So successes. I was pleased that we ultimately got the async testing working for the AgileBot, that we actually made some changes to the Hangout connection that appeared to work, although we didn't deploy them yet, and we fixed up the Gittle links. Yeah, we managed to get quite a few things done this week. Any other successes that people want to shout out about? If not, let's move straight on to suggestions. There was something, this is now a few weeks back, Raul, you mentioned that there were some odd commits showing up. Is that continued to be a problem?
Yeah. I had a few occurrences of that this week. I think you're using a different way when you're moving things from develop to staging and production. So when I come back, I always find extra commits, and sometimes I have conflicts that I have to fix locally before pushing up to staging and develop. Master. So I was hoping we could maybe consolidate on that. Have a the same way of doing things, so for those kind of things. Those kind of issues.
But do we know what's causing the problem?
I think it's the merging. When we do merge on the on GitHub, it creates an extra commit on the following branch, and I think you do rebase, right? Do you?
Well, not so much recently, in as much as when now that we have this automated squash thing, there doesn't seem to be much reason to do rebase. And so sometimes when the pull request says there's merge conflict, sometimes it gives me a button that says merge, and I click it. Other times it doesn't give me that button, and I have to pull it locally, and I usually I'll merge develop into it, and then sort that out. I mean, I speculate that the problem is caused because with doing the squash operation, we may be like, I don't know, like I think if we weren't doing the squashing, then maybe that thing wouldn't occur. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I guess we kind of maybe we need to identify a place where it's actually occurred and try and move back to the culprit from it. I think what we tend to find is that if we do, it seems like there's less trouble when we do pull requests that have a single commit and we don't build one pull request on top of the other, basically. as a general rule.
So I've been trying to kind of like experiment on different ways of moving things from develop to staging and master on other projects I've been working on. So just to see which one works best, I guess, if I can say it like that. And
sure.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just keep going. So far on one project, what I did commit on from develop to, from the pull request to develop, and then to move things from develop to staging, I tried rebasing. So I rebase develop onto staging, and then I do a rebase of staging onto master. So I tried doing that on this one project this week, and that was okay so far.
Yeah, that's what I do on local support. Is I do rebases, to do those things. Go on.
Yeah, and the thing with that is, like, one, we don't have the extra commit that it adds when you do the merge, when you do merging from one branch to the other.
Right.
So that was the one thing that I noticed so far.
Yeah. So maybe you want to.
So
go on.
If we have to do that on website one, we'll probably have to first of all make sure that all the branches have all the subsequent merge that were made on either on master or staging, and then start to now do squad rebase from develop to staging and from staging to master.
Okay.
We could try something.
Yeah, I'd definitely give that a try.
Okay.
So and see how that works. I'll put that in as a let's put in there. No, it's not what I'm not doing. Action item for Raoul. Experiment with alternates. What's this pipeline deployment? Or using rebase. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess.
Sure.
I imagine. Shall I make this one the Phantom.js gem? Shall I make that my responsibility? Because you're kind of busy, and I could probably do that fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's always dangerous if we have an action item where there's not a person, associated with it. Of course, if you have a chance to play with it before I get to it, then just let me know. But
then I'll just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah, well, I think that's basically what Armando and Michael and I were talking about, just to bring it up to speed, Raoul, is a suggestion. So there's this thing called Project Scope, which Armando's students developed, which I now probably will not be able to find quickly, so I'll just open another one. But we've got it actually in the AgileVentures. I forked it into the AgileVentures thing as a way of tracking project health. Basically, Armando, grades the students' projects in his class, and he has the students doing 40 or so projects, and he's got the interface sort of like this, where it kind of this is trying to each project is being kind of graded from, I think, orange is bad and green is good, based upon the GPA that it gets from Code Climate, the test coverage, some metric of pull requests, the pivotal tracker stories, Slack, and so on. And I think Armando sees that as a key prerequisite for the part 3 of the MOOC project course, so that we would be able to sort of, in order to pass the part 3 project course, you would, have to achieve a certain project health according to our metrics.
I see.
And I'm thinking that we do at some point want to move on to upgrading the project interface in AgileVentures. I noticed that the whole site actually seems to be getting gradually slower and slower. I think I've opened a separate ticket for a performance-related stuff. But so having removed that big image, we've got this ranking of projects in terms of number of commits and various other things. But it would seem not so difficult, perhaps, to introduce something like this, some more sophisticated ranking into the AgileVentures projects. Anyhow, so that's a suggestion from Armando, and potentially he might even have. I think if we can get it working, he might have his students, Berkeley students, starting their projects in AgileVentures in the same way that some other universities have been doing.
All right.
So that's a suggestion. Okay. Any other suggestions based on this week's activity from any of us, or any thoughts about any of the existing suggestions or action items? If not, I guess I'll just mention. I thought that we got Michael pairing with Sasha was a great success this week. It was great to have another person getting involved in the project. We'll see if he's around again next week. So with that, let's move swiftly on to the waffle board. I guess we should be quickly looking at. I've got it here. The pull requests. Yeah, I think these just correspond to. So we've got one that came in from Sasha after working with Michael, which is great. Yeah, all of the elements are in there. Closing an existing video, opening a new one should update the player. Why is that appearing in that column? That looks wrong. Anyway, I did submit something for that. Anyway, I guess for any of the progress, the docs ones should be a straightforward merge. I mean, I kind of resorted to just this is the thing I do to update the branch sometimes. I kind of just got for like cleaning out the wiki and moving everything in there. Feeling like we can polish the docs more, just to reduce the number of places in which the docs actually appear.
Okay.
Have I just done both of them? Okay. Update the branches. Little micro pull request from yesterday. That should be. I think we've got two very micro pull requests. I don't know that there's necessarily anything to discuss about them. Michael, is there anything you want to highlight about your pull request from the work with Sasha?
We had worked on the event losing its state, losing what people put it, and the main reason is, as the code existed before, was that it was a redirect.
Right.
So it was getting the event fresh from the database, which, because there was a validation failure, it wasn't saved anything.
Right.
So initially, if you look at the previous commit, I had written fairly atrocious code.
Okay.
Which worked. We added a param basically to the end of the event path. You'd have to jigger around with the routes, I think, to allow it to do the param in the normal way.
Right.
Then there's a little bit involved with the mask and everything. So we realized that we could just render the edit template fresh.
Right.
But you have to set up that instance variable projects, which couples, edit and update in some way. Because if edit in the future, changes, obviously, it takes on additional requirements. Then update will also have to change in a similar way.
Right.
So it was getting towards the end of the time that we really had. So we just kind of submitted it for input. I was thinking perhaps we could do something with. Afterwards, I was thinking perhaps we could do something with a presenter pattern, where it, just if we had you're familiar with Rails presenters, right? We wouldn't even necessarily have to provide a project's instance variable. The presenter would just set it up.
Right.
Unless we provided one. That was a thought that I had, and then that presenter could be reused across.
That sounds like quite a good approach. Yeah. Yeah, well, this is nice. I mean, this reminds me of it. We had a similar set of issues in the local support project with the setting up the categories, and I think we've got a similar, maybe code that we don't like so much there as well. I think this is a great initial fix, and yeah, well, maybe you can. I mean, it's you could create a refactoring issue, specifying the way in which you think that it could be, improved upon, and then that could be picked up by someone else later on.
Okay. Or I could do it. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I think even if you're going to do it, it's great to create the issue, and then that sort of connects it to it. Well, I guess just since Raul is here, this one I've got a very, very minor change here that removes the time from like this is the little Hangout component here in the show page for events, and this basically, it seems kind of redundant to include the time of the event in the Hangout name, because that information is like basically this thing gets sent to Slack, to Gitter, and what have you, but they all have timestamps.
And it confuses the, it's sometimes confusing for other users as well. Because it sends time in UTC, not really in deadline.
That's right. Yeah, all of the other systems it's being sent to are set up to show this user the time in their current time zone, and then it's the UTC one. So yeah, I'm thinking that's an improvement. So yeah, that would be a lovely one. So that I think that basically covers. Yeah, that's those two things there. They're all the documentation ones. Yeah, and I did have a pull request for this. I thought I had there's something weird going on there. It looks like it's got no. Anyway, well, I guess I'll have to look at that. Yeah, I referenced it. Yeah, and it's been merged. So this should be closed. Okay, just close it. Yeah, it was merged. I guess that must be a reflection of the fact that this one didn't say. Oh, I guess it just said it fixed the wrong thing. Should be 1170. Okay. There we go. All right. It was cool. 1153. Weird. Okay, but don't get sidetracked. Okay, stay on this. So in progress, investigating test coverage. Raul, should we unassign you for that for the moment?
Yes.
Just, I know you're really busy. If we sort of throw that back into the ready column, then that means in case someone else.
Yeah, at least someone else can
have a look at it. Yeah. So there's, JavaScript files automated management system. That's still, I guess it's not really in progress, is it? It's something that's ready to be worked on. It's something that's being thought about. I guess you're still thinking about it, Michael. Should we leave you assigned to that?
You can remove me from it.
No, okay. In case somebody else wants to pick that up.
I mean, I basically have somewhere on my hard drive in one of the things a working Bower prototype, but John had dissuaded me from using Bower.
Yeah.
And
yeah, apparently Bower's.
Well, that's the other reason to get. I mean, it's interesting if people. We had Armando was talking earlier about he's very kind of anti-node, but anyway, that's another story. But so we've got
it's an abomination.
Indeed. I guess for me here, like that, I'm now conflicted between this suggestion from Armando, which is about integration of project scope or working on project scope, which I had sort of been thinking would be something we might work on in the fall. He's saying he'd like that to be ready to be used by Berkeley students in the fall. I had really been thinking to work on the this next week and try and I've been reaching out and talking to lots of individual AgileVentures members. We've got Brian signed up as a premium member. It gave us lots of great feedback on that. I would like to kind of maybe finish out some of these things that integrates the premium plus memberships with the the system. But anyway, that's still. I definitely want to spend a chunk of time working on that before I go away to Japan in about 3 weeks. Yeah, and then so now I've done actually these things with the GH Wiki. This is outstanding. I've got to come around and look at the stuff for pull it out of the main site. So, anybody want to comment on either of these in progress items?
No, but I had a question.
Go on.
Say that I convince Mary and the pair this weekend.
Uh-huh.
What would be the most bang for the buck?
If you're doing it on website 1?
Yeah, on a website 1 pairing.
Well, shall we maybe answer that question by just reviewing the ready column?
Okay.
And then maybe possibly pulling in things from the backlog if we can't find anything so interesting in there. To reviewing the ready column, we've got this, managing JavaScript files. I mean, I think that's an interesting one to work on. It's we're not at the moment experiencing any direct pain from that.
No.
So I'm just going to put that at the bottom of the list. We've got the test coverage. There was a point where it seemed like it was kind of going up and down. I mean, I'm also going to move that to the bottom of the list because we don't seem to be experiencing any direct pain from that at the moment. We've got this Jira waffle links, and which would be a nice thing. I think for Armando's, he has all of his students use Pivotal Tracker, so that's not a big deal for him. Puni came in and chatted about this the other morning, but it's not clear whether he's going to start working on that. But I'm not sure how high priority that is. It would certainly be nice to get done. This failure here, basically, I don't know. I experienced some other failures this week. I suspect that they are maybe related to performance. We're getting basically when we have failures and I go and look at the log, what I see is lots of out of memory errors and no other specific errors. So it's kind of suspicious. We've got post the CS6. That was a feature suggestion for me to post, double up on stuff going from Gitter to the ESAS channel on Slack. I think that might be useful for increasing activity, but it's like so. We've got this one thing here about only one date on the show event page. Yeah. I mean, this would be a good and simple, fast one to get out of the way, Michael. I think we could. The argument there is on the events show page. Like, I just don't know that we need this UTC time at all.
Just remove it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thomas might be upset because he wants people to be aware that there are more times than their own time zone, but
Yeah, I mean, plenty times in UTC, and like Sasha yesterday was like, oh, at 2100 UTC or whatever.
Right.
I was like, so how many hours is that from now?
Right. And that's what see here. I would almost thought rather than having
I don't know. Maybe I should think in terms of UTC.
I don't think I think it's kind of high cognitive load to do so. I mean, I think it would be more helpful here instead of it saying the UTC time if it said how many hours from now the event was going to be.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense in a way. If we're going to put something there at all.
Right.
Description of the time.
Yeah.
So that they can not have to read their own clock.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think this is. I mean, what I always come down to is like, you can kind of say, oh yeah, people should do this hard work, you know, that they should look at their own clock and then work it out. But you know,
Right. I'm just being sarcastic.
indeed you are. But it seems to be a position that Thomas regularly takes, and I somehow want to kind of like, oh, Thomas, let's accept that people are the way they are and find some way of scaffolding them to behave differently. But anyway, so that's a different story. Okay, so yeah, that would be, you know, I mean, the first step clearly is removing it, and then you could be replacing it with like time to event. I mean, it's one of those areas there where, as I was blogging about this morning, you know, you can. Should you be? Yeah. I mean, if you want something that's actually connected to an issue from a user, this one, as I mentioned to you from before, someone like this seems like if trying to remove the GitHub thing gives a red flag saying bad idea, that just seems like a bit of a ridiculous joke. So, I mean, I would say between those two, if you were pairing over the weekend, either one or both of those would be great to work on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We've talked about this install of PhantomJS fails on CI recently. We've just talked about that being my responsibility. Oh, we can have more than one assignee. Okay, well, fine then. Great. Update the tweet service to check if the event is being
I
recorded.
noticed that it's not possible.
Maybe this is a new functionality from Waffle.
Yeah. No, GitHub.
On GitHub.
Because you couldn't assign more than one people on the issue on GitHub before.
We can now. They're so responsive, these GitHub people. I love them. I wish they would spend more time with me. Anyway, they don't return my calls. I don't know what it is. It's you know, they're only 18 times I message them. But anyway, so the funny thing with this one, I've started looking at the Twitter feed a bit more, and Thomas was mentioning that. I mean, we've clearly got the issue that various people are kind of bashful and don't want their you know, pairing activities to be shared with the rest of the world. I don't know why. It seems like aberrant behavior on my part. But I guess, can we just sort of see here, like, well, all the MOOC students are, yep, showing their videos. And I thought I was seeing here, like, if we can just, like, sometimes here you see the pair programming there. And
so people actually follow that Twitter?
Who knows? Well, we've got 108 people apparently allegedly following it. They're probably all spam bots, I expect. But Mentiv is following us. These, you know, Craft Academy.
No, it's actual people.
I mean, so in some cases there. I mean, this obviously not a real person.
Do they get like a little notification every time?
I mean, potentially.
Every time someone from the
So that's one way I used to actually join pairing at the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we have these two postings. We have this.
I think it posts the link to the recording and then the link to the actual Hangout.
It's going like a Hangout. There's a link there, and then when it finishes, it posts the link to the recording. I mean, and it looks like all the ones recently, I mean, just by the fact that they're pulling in, I wonder if it's still an issue. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I guess that should be something that's to be investigated. Okay. Oh, well, that's all the things in the ready column. I guess I've got like 5 minutes before I need to finish. We could just have a quick look at the backlog. This was a suggestion from Sasha. Thinks he suggested. Yeah, it looks like. Is there a simpler way that we could do Slack sign up that didn't involve people having to?
I don't know, but when I was discussing with him, he said that he's involved with different groups and things.
Mm-hmm.
like different, like he's some London group called Effective Altruist in London or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's where Charles. That's where what's his name? Brian met Charles. Go on.
He said that when he talks to different people about AgileVentures, he's had different people that have wanted to join. They found it hard to get into the
Slack instance.
Slack and really integrate in.
Right. That's interesting.
There was a way that people could just easily automate. You know, if it was automated, you could just point them to that, and
they could just see it. Yeah. I mean, I would just totally love that. I mean, what I just love about Gitter is, you know, the way in which we have it integrated in the MOOC, that you can just see it. And I think that it's yeah. I mean, the thing that we were talking about this last night. There's the edX, the open edX Slack. I noticed that they have, like, I don't know. I went to not this one, but they have different. They've got a series of different. Like they've got, oh, there we go, there and there. So this is the one I was looking at previously. They have like a single app. You have to enter your email address and it does the invite. But then they also have, oh, is it just gone straight there? When I looked at this other one on my phone, that's this one, it actually offered me the option to sign in with G+. So what's this? If I sign into another team, sign out of OpenEdX. Yeah, this is what I was seeing on my phone. That this team allows you to sign in with your edX Google account. Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, it'd be nice to follow up, and because I think what happens is people get sent this automated Slack invite, and it ends up in their spam box, and they're like, "Well, I just didn't get to the Slack," and that's that. Okay, well, that's very interesting feedback. I guess I will add. Yeah, apparently, Jinxie says some people from Effective Altruism had trouble into AV Slack, and we make it any easier. Okay. Team sign-up mode. I mean, I guess well, we should sort of finish up. I had this. I would love to. It's like a random feature thing for the Hangouts. Not that one. Like it would be, you know, to have like here like a little screenshots of like, you know, what they're pairing on. I mean, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't add much value at all at the moment, really. Automate signups to AV Slack channel. Oh, we've got. Ah, okay. There we go, and that's a 1178. Sorry, I've ended up duplicated. Right, especially if the scrums are away. Michael thinks there is a Slack API that does this. Okay. Let's put C 1178. Okay. We had feedback from, so Brian signed up for a premium, and so he pointed out that, you know, he wasn't signed into AgileVentures, which is, of course, there's no integration at the moment. He didn't get a confirmation email for the transaction. There's basically the same things that Nitish said when he signed up, and so I think there's a clear set of things that we could potentially be changing for that. I guess that makes me want to pull that into there and add that to the premium epic, which is like 1175. So we've got signed up there, improved sign up process. Okay, is there anything you guys are seeing in the backlog that you would really like to pull in? I guess I opened this ticket about the memory leak. There's
I just had a comment about the agile mindset.
Go ahead.
At times, like I understand that you rolled, for instance, we rolled out the premium membership
Mm-hmm.
in like a very bare bones way that kind of like was basically like just give me money, and then, like no associated integration, no email, no anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I understand you did that to see if anyone would even consider giving you money.
Right.
But then it kind of has the effect of like not looking very professional at all.
Right.
Because you're like, give me money, and then like none of the things that people expect.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I gave you money, but nothing, like there's no indication that anything happened.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, and the interesting thing is we could have been anticipating these
Right.
things, and spending longer to do that. I think I feel quite good about having it done this way, right? Because actually one of the aspects of it is that when Federico signed up for Premium Plus, because it didn't have a free trial element to it,
Mm-hmm.
which the Premium does, he got sent an email immediately telling him about his transaction, and he was like, "Oh no, I was kind of like anticipating that he would have the same concerns as Nitish." And he didn't, because he got immediately an email from Stripe saying, "Thanks for your payment."
Right.
So
It's common for the payment processor, for instance, to send the email when the transaction goes through, but it's also common for the site
oh, sure.
to send an email and say, we acknowledge this transaction.
Right. Yeah. Well, and particularly now having had 2 users express that, I'm like saying, yeah, let's implement that. But so,
but I'm just riffing on the extent to which we've gone agile and.
Oh yeah, well we're going hardcore, Michael.
And whether that's
too
going
hardcore.
forward, is that like the operating procedure at all times? Or
well, I think it's what I lean towards when I feel like we're quite under-resourced.
Right.
And basically I'm self-funding this charity startup at the moment from my savings. So. And I guess I feel like in this context the risk is relatively low, because basically the people who may perceive us as looking as unprofessional are the Nitish and Brian and the very, very early adopters. I guess I could have egg on my face if we had 30 sign-ups and then they were all kind of like going, wow, what kind of service is this? Like, it seems to me we can't attribute the lack of sign-up to the absence of these features. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because they haven't signed up, so they don't know that these things are missing. Right.
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 But we are going to implement these soon.
Well, that's what I like. For me, like, well, and the things that I have done this week is, is what I've been doing is based on the input that I'm getting from people. Is I'm continuing to update, and I'm basically reaching out to like 3 or 4 different AgileVentures members a day and saying, oh, so what do you think of our latest offering? Is it making sense? And so on. And I've kind of added in here 2 elements to the free tier now about basic things that you're getting. I've kind of adjusted the wording on some of these things. I've also created today this like free tier membership thing to kind of like another page. And I think I guess your basic question is, are we always going to be sailing? Are we going to be like brutally hardcore agile and trying to avoid over anticipating what we need to do? I guess more or less. But I guess this is the thing: is what I'm I've had so much experience in the past of building lots of things and then finding out that nobody wants them or needs them, right? And so, you know, I think there's a very interesting comparison in that we have, you know, here, like in the context of this, you know, one date on the show page, you kind of anticipated this as a like, oh, okay, this is a potentially confusing aspect of the interface, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't had any users complain about it, or we haven't
complaining about that.
Say again?
No, just said complaining about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no users. I mean, of course, it may be that users we fixed other bugs, of which this one is then. So this is sort of a more anticipatory sort of thing, and we're talking about, as we were just before. I've now lost the events thing. We were talking about how we might change it to say, you know, the event is a certain amount of time from now, and that's kind of just a. It's like you could almost argue it as feature creep, right? We're anticipating making a change.
My point is that I've used different startups, like services and stuff.
Sure.
And like, especially with regards to like monetary transactions and stuff, they're fairly well put together.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just throw something together in like an hour and publish it.
Right. And I don't think we threw something together in there and published it. We like spent a lot of time getting all the testing framework set up for the charging framework. But yeah, I mean that's no. I mean I agree. I mean, to be honest, not just the charging thing. I think the whole AgileVentures site has loads of things that look extraordinarily unprofessional. Yeah. It's but so I very much want to, you know, start to move towards fixing some of those things.
Okay.
Next week is, I guess, the bottom line. But the I guess you know, it's you know, just contrasting this one versus this one, where we actually had a user have an experience and so on. I guess there's an extent to which we're always on safer ground, making a change in response to you know, issues from users.
Right.
And I think did I? Anyway, I mean, I think we've worked out all the things we need to work out. And you probably, and as usual, I'm probably answering a simple question at far more length than anybody cares. The blog I did this morning was all about this change that I did yesterday, and you know, I was quickly getting some user feedback from it. Yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely like to make the whole charging framework more professional. That's what makes me slightly nervous about Armando saying that he wants to use the project thing for full, because yeah, I'd love to spend the next 3 weeks focused on you know, on this stuff. Okay. Anyway,
well, just find more time.
Indeed. So, anything else we need to work out?
No.
No. I think that's that. I'm going to go and play with Slack now and see if there's some way to make the sign up easier.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, have a great weekend, guys.
Great weekend.
You too, sir.
Bye for now. Take care.
July is Monday.
Say again?
I said 4th of July is Monday.
Oh, right. Wonderful. Yes. We can.
Original Brexit.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful celebration. It's yes. Oh well, and you'll be around on Monday preparing, Michael? Or it's a national holiday, so you're going to be off, like, stomping around. So
No.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
No.
Oh, you'll be
I'll around Monday.
Okay. Either way, it's all good.
People usually do picnics, like if it's like a close to a weekend, they usually do it on the weekends.
Oh, okay. Is it not actually an official holiday day? You don't have, like, the businesses don't close on the day?
like a lot of some businesses close and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But as far as I know, the internet will still be running,
Okay.
and
Nice one. So
electric will be running and all that.
good stuff. I'll see you then. Raul, try not to work too hard. I hope get some good relaxation time if you can in this weekend.
All right.
We'll try to.
All right. Bye
Yeah.
for now. Take care.
Ciao.